As writers, we come to our books in all sorts of surprising ways. 8 years ago, my Ruby's Place series found me. So back in 2017, I was just watching the news and a story came on about a local hometown bar and the woman inside running it who was having this kind of ongoing beef with the city, who had passed a non-smoking ordinance that she said was messing with her business. It was keeping her from running this bar the way she needed to. And she insisted there was one thing in life that she was really good at, and it was running this bar. And there was this shot at the end. It was just this really brief shot from the outside and looking in at the bar at the end, and you could see her face in the front, in the plate glass window in the front, looking outside. And there was just something about that shot, that hazy look of her face in the glass. Instantly, my writer brain just kicked in, and I started to think, well, okay, so what if there was a bar that had a woman running it? She was so good running it. She was still running it after she'd passed. So I just kept playing with this idea, because a lot of times those initial sparks, they need some finesse, right? They need to be brainstormed further. So I kept thinking about this and playing with this idea, and then I thought, well, maybe it's not just about the woman running the bar, right? Maybe it's about the people in the town who come to this bar. And maybe this bar is actually a place where you can reconnect with a loved one who's passed away. For one night out of the year, on Christmas Eve only, you can see this one person and tell them the things you didn't get to tell them when they were alive. Maybe you just wanted to tell them how much you loved them, or how much their friendship meant to you, or how what kind of an impact they had on your life. You never got to tell them these things when they were alive. Maybe this is a person that you never really got to make things right with when they were alive, right? You've always wished you could just tell them you were sorry. Wouldn't that actually be the greatest Christmas gift of all? Now at this point, my what if becomes a full-blown Christmas novella called Christmas at Ruby's. And in Christmas at Ruby's, we see my fictional main character, Angela, returning home to the town of Sullivan. This is a completely fictional hometown. And she's walking down the street and she comes to a stop in front of the plate glass window that had belonged to Ruby's Place. Ruby's Place is empty. It is completely defunct. It's been out of business for a long time. There's nothing inside there right now. In my version, Ruby's Place was not a bar, it was a supper club. But she's standing out there and she's looking through the glass and she's thinking about the Christmas Eves she used to spend there with her Aunt Elizabeth. Her Aunt Elizabeth took her every Christmas Eve. And she begins to think about how wonderful it would be if she could see her Aunt Elizabeth just one more time and tell her how special this was to her, how much she loved her Aunt Elizabeth. And as she's thinking this, as she's reminiscing, a passerby knocks, Angela bumps into her and he knocks her into the front door. And at this point, this place has been closed long enough. The lock isn't very good anymore. It's kind of rusty and it breaks and Angela stumbles inside. And she finds out that on Christmas Eve, Ruby's Place is absolutely alive, right? It is full of people. Everyone she remembers being in Ruby's Place is there. It's music is playing. There's the smell of marshmallows in the air, the homemade marshmallows that Angela used to always eat there on Christmas Eve. Ruby's there running it. People are singing and laughing. There's chandeliers overhead. Her aunt is there. Everything is inside Ruby's Place on Christmas Eve, exactly the way Angela remembers. So at the end of Christmas at Ruby's, we see Angela getting ready to buy the place and renovate it, put it back exactly the way it was, and reopen it. And I was fine with this being, like I said, just a standalone Christmas novella. And that was going to be it. I was going to send Angela and the rest of Sullivan off and trust that everything worked out. And the next year, I started writing a new Christmas piece. This was going to be kind of a second chance romance, a sweet romance. And I just kept playing with it. And I started to think, I would really like this to be taking place in Sullivan. Like, I really want these two people to wind up in Ruby's Place at the end of this book. I want them to be there. And that's when things started to snowball. Every single year since, I have returned to Ruby's Place. The story will absolutely not let me go. So my advice for writers is, if you are hearing a story call your name, listen, follow it wherever it goes. Even if you think it's just not much of an idea right now, even if you think it's just some sort of weird, undeveloped what if, even if it comes from some weird clip at the end of the evening news, if a story is calling your name like that, you need to follow. Because sometimes those unexpected ideas become entire worlds that stay with you. For me, that world is Ruby's Place, and I'm still not done telling the stories.